We were told no talking. He said quiet on set. Hey guys, welcome to Hurting Little Cats to the Glory of God. There were other people in the room and he had to tell them to be quiet. So, yeah, the baby's gonna sit here and wave at you. And the kids are supposed to be going to sleep, but you might hear them come out. So anyway, we are doing this video because we've had a lot of confusion from people who don't necessarily agree with our point of view. So I don't know how much is actual confusion and how much is people asking comments to see what I'm gonna say. But anyway, I did a video about homeschool laws and answering the critics and all the stuff that happens in the state of Maine. I don't know exactly where this came up because I'm not going back to the video, but I was talking about all the things that I don't want my kids learning in the public school system. And I used the term sanctuary state, that Maine is a sanctuary state for abortion and gender reassignment surgery stuff. And I had multiple people comment that that's probably not the case because Maine is a liberal state, and so there aren't a lot of government, how did they say it? Like government oversight, rules and regulations, government oversight. That we wouldn't have that in a liberal state, but we do. So in Maine, when COVID hit, we had to mask up everywhere. And still, this many years later, so it's 2025, so 5 years, right? COVID was 5 years ago. Yeah. It's crazy that it was 5 years ago. Anyway, since then, you still get asked when you go to a doctor's appointment, have you been exposed to anyone with COVID? Have you had any COVID symptoms? Have you tested positive for COVID in the last 10 days? That went by the wayside a long time ago in a lot of other states. In the state of Maine, we were not allowed to meet with our churches for a very, very long time. We were not allowed to go off of our property without wearing a mask, including if you were hiking on a trail by yourself, you needed to be wearing a mask. There was a lot of government oversight at that time in the state of Maine. And we are a very Democrat state.
Democrat-controlled legislature.
Democrat-controlled legislature. Huh?
Democrat-dominated.
Democrat-dominated. And they make a lot of rules and regulations for us. So when people were saying that because we're a liberal state, we wouldn't have all of that, we do. And I know that we are very, very fortunate in the state of Maine to have easier homeschool laws than some states. But somebody said, we get to homeschool just by telling the school, here's my piece of paper, I'm gonna homeschool, but that's not true. At the end of the year, we have to either have a Maine certified teacher look at our work and see that we were actually doing school for the year, or we have to have our kids tested. So there still are regulations. We don't just get to be like, hey, I'm taking my kids, and they still watch what we're doing. So for all those people who think my kids are not being watched, they are being watched. My paperwork is into my Maine certified teacher right now, and I'm waiting for my letter back. Take your time, but my stuff's in. Just know that I'm doing my thing. If you're watching this though, Maine certified teacher, it's okay. I'm not waiting for it because I have to get it in by September 1st, and we are here in June, so I'm all set. Okay, so the reason that Naomi's here with me is because
I'm her legal consultant.
She is. She's my legal consultant. So for those who don't know, Naomi worked with state legislator, Representative Griffin, to put forward a bill to abolish abortion here in the state of Maine. So she has worked with lawyers and learned all the legalese that goes with bills, and I don't know all of that stuff. So when, yeah, she's a good research assistant. And so I gave her a school project today, even though she's not schooling. So why am I doing this? I don't know. Did you have fun doing it?
Yes.
She did. She went above and beyond. But anyway, someone was saying, because we live in this liberal state, this isn't happening. And I used the term sanctuary state, and somebody corrected me and said sanctuary state is only used for illegal immigration. But when they were putting this bill that she's going to talk about forward last year, they were saying we want Maine to be a sanctuary state for transgender, was that what it was? Transgender things and abortion services. So they called it a sanctuary state. They used that terminology. And when someone said today that I used sanctuary state wrong, I typed in sanctuary state, Maine, transgender. And out of the first three things, two of them specifically said we were a sanctuary state in regards to the transgender stuff. So I just wanted to let you know that whatever you searched on Google did not give those same results, but I specifically put in sanctuary state, Maine, transgender. So what did you find out about Maine? We didn't look up anything about illegal immigration in Maine. Nothing about that. But what did you find out? We have a whole list of
About
stuff,
the
right?
transgender stuff?
About Maine being a sanctuary state. Oh, yes, because people were saying that kids are not getting surgeries or care without their parents' knowledge, and that people were not getting like abortion services. That I was like blowing this out of the water, that kids would be able to get care without their parents' knowledge. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So they say that it's a legal right in Maine to have transgender surgeries or abortions, and no one can interfere with that right. And so parental control goes to a certain extent, but it can also be used when a parent denies abortion or transgender care to their child. It can be used as medical neglect. So it's easier for the court to take away the rights of parents in those circumstances. Plus the fact that law enforcement officers in Maine, unless it's dictated by federal law, they're not allowed to comply with federal officers in investigations into abortion and transgender stuff.
So what that law was trying to say was if a child was told by their parent in, let's say, Ohio, that they weren't allowed to go about getting reassignment, the gender stuff, or an abortion, they could say, I don't really care, get someone to bring them to Maine, and they have every right to get that surgery here.
Yes.
And that they don't necessarily have to be reported back to their
Or even
parents.
if one parent said, you can't do this, the other parent could be like, okay, we're going to Maine. Go get it done.
That's what Maine was fighting to do through that bill last year. It was LD 227. Did you get a number on it of what it was?
It was 227. It became a law.
Yeah,
I can
I don't
put the
remember.
law number in the
I don't
description if
remember
we
the
need
number.
to.
But people were saying this doesn't happen. You told me something about a 16-year-old that was a case, or was
Yeah,
that?
so in certain circumstances, 16-year-olds can consent to their own medical care, so they can have gender-affirming hormone care, as they say. If they've talked to their parent and their parent has said, no, we're not going to do this, they can go to a doctor. And if they're diagnosed with gender dysphoria and the healthcare professional thinks they need it, then they can consent to that themselves.
Yeah.
16, 17,
Which
until your legal age, you can still do that.
Naomi has hurt herself, hurt her knee, like she had a knee injury that she had to take. Did you have a hair?
Yeah.
She had to go to physical therapy multiple times. And we, as parents, one of us had to go to make sure she got signed in, because she couldn't sign herself in to do exercises for her knee, which she had been doing on a weekly basis for a while. She couldn't sign herself in for that. If she were in school, the school nurse couldn't give her a Tylenol without talking to
I couldn't
us.
sign myself into the chiropractor.
Yeah, until she was 18, she couldn't sign herself into the chiropractor, even though they all know me and it's the same chiropractor we've had for years and all
And
of
it's
that
a
stuff.
chiropractor. It's not like it's some life-altering thing. Like,
Right. And so, yeah. Did you find other information about that? Anything else you wanted to share? You didn't need to. So anyway, for people who say that I am naive, that I don't know what's going on around me, we are very informed about the things that are going on within the Maine legislature, especially things that are affecting parental rights. Because even if whether you agree with abortions or transgender, like gender reassignment things, whether you agree or not, the fact that the state can say, oh, your parent said no to that, but we're going to let you do it anyway, should cause concern for any parent. Because children are easily swayed by other people. That's peer pressure. It happens in schools all the time. Kids will start dressing in all black because their friends are. Kids will dye their hair because their friends do. We see it all the time.
Pacifiers. Remember the pacifier fad?
The fad where
Everybody has
high
to
school
do it.
kids
and then
had
the baby
pacifiers
bottle one?
or baby bottles. We do it just because our friends are doing it. We don't want to look like we're not cool or whatever. We have to fit in. That happens in public school all the time. And if I, as a parent right now, were to say, you know what, Naomi, go ahead and get drunk, they would come in and rightfully tell me that as a parent, that's a wrong thing to do. if I were to say, yeah, Naomi, go take the pain pills and, get high. Is that what you do on pain pills? Get high? If I were to allow her to do that, they would tell me I was wrong. If I were to say to my 5-year-old, yeah, stay up all night long and then you're falling asleep in class the next day, they would ask me what was going on with my child. So it's only right that parents know medically what's going on with their child, because if Naomi we've had people ask us this, like,
well, first it's your child, so
yeah,
you deserve to know.
Right. But we've had people ask us this before, like if our child was to come to us. Careful, baby. The baby's touching the thing. If our child was to come to us and tell us, like, hey, Mom, I'm pregnant. I only have 2 girls. I have an 18-year-old and a 10-year-old right now. But if one of them were to come and tell me, Mom, I'm pregnant, we would embrace her and take care of her and the baby. That's what we would do. People have asked me that. We would find out where and how that all happened to make sure that we're keeping our daughter safe, because that's what we're trying to do. But if it happened without my knowledge, and let's say you were younger, let's say you're 16, okay, and it happened without my knowledge, and Naomi went to the school nurse and said, I did something, I'm pregnant, I don't want this baby, and people, whoever that would be, I'm not saying the school nurse, but people took you to Planned Parenthood to get a morning after pill or all the different things you could do, I, as a parent, have the right to know. Because if Naomi wakes up in the middle of the night and she is bleeding out, which happens sometimes with abortions, I know people want to say that abortions are safe, but things happen. If
they're not safe for either person.
Yeah, right. They're definitely not safe for the baby who's being killed. But if Naomi is bleeding out on the bathroom floor, I need to know what happened so I can get her the care. Either way, I'm going to call the ambulance, but I need to tell the ambulance people, here's what happened, because it's the best way for her to get the care. They need to know not to give her certain things because certain pills interact with other pills differently.
Or if I'm on gender hormone, whatever,
right,
then they'd need to know, oh, this is why she's acting this way or why she's having this reaction to this thing,
Right, because, let's say you started to do testosterone or whatever. I don't know all these things. So let's say you start doing a puberty blocker or something like that, and you have a allergic reaction to it, and you suddenly break out in hives. I can't tell your medical provider, here's what happened, because I don't know. So that makes it so that the parent doesn't have the ability to keep their child safe.
Which makes it even more dangerous for the child.
Yeah. Exactly. It makes everything more dangerous. And then you are just feeding into the myth that teenagers don't want to talk to their parents. If you have a good relationship, teenagers still do talk to their parents. And I believe that Naomi would come to me even with something hard to say, she's never had to come to me with something that is life altering. But she has come to me before to say, I did this thing that I shouldn't have done. Took sugar from the sugar bowl, whatever it is. She's come to me with things.
Telling on me now.
She's come to me with things, and we should feel comfortable that a teenager is going to come tell their parent. But when you say to the school, oh, just do this, your parent doesn't have to know, you just make that split even bigger and tell the child, no, you don't really need to talk to your parent because your parent won't really understand you. Your parent doesn't really care. Your parent doesn't want to know. When really, I think most parents in this situation really do love their child and they want to be able to meet their child where they are, but not necessarily need to give them medication or whatever.
Yeah.
So right now we have a child, Josiah. You guys have all seen him. He has CP, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy. And we're working right now to see whether we want to do medication with him or not. And he needs to know that I'm looking out for his best interest, that we are trying to do what's good for him. But we're not just trying to pacify him or the doctors or make him happy with what choices we're making. We're trying to make the best choice for him. He probably doesn't want to take pills multiple times a day, right?
No, probably
I mean, nobody does. But he needs to know that mommy and daddy are trying to do what's best. And a teenager needs to know that mommy and daddy are doing the same thing. So she was my research assistant. Sanctuary state is used talking about transgender and abortions. We can answer more questions later.
If you have more questions, I'll answer them.
But we thought we'd answer in a video form because it would be easier. So we'll see you guys next time on Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. Hopefully with a more enjoyable topic than this one. But we'll see you guys next time. Bye.